I was having Yasha boy Rico from StreetScores, and do not worry, even though I'm in Atlanta, we're fine. It's just been raining for like the past 18 hours straight, and I don't think there's any signs of stopping. But either way, we're here to talk about a lot of different updates that came out today. First of all, it looks like Samuel Cosmi will play versus the Cardinals. That is big time news. Also, Kliff Kingsbury said that Terry McLaurin touchdown to seal the game was the wrong play call. We're going to dive into that and a few other things he said at practice today. Also, Emmanuel Forbes looks like he may return finally against the Arizona Cardinals. And we may be getting F.A. Obata and Jordan Magee back soon. Maybe not against the Cardinals, but boy, they could have a big impact and a reason as to why this defense could turn this around. Also, what's going on with Derek Forrest? Joe Witt Jr. spoke to the media today as well and also has some updates for that. But before we dive into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content, man. Really appreciate y'all for supporting all of the work that I'm putting in. This has been like, what, almost 3 videos a day. If you're a channel member, you've been getting 3 videos a day. I do want to knock out a film session before tonight ends. It's a shorter week because we play Monday and we play again Sunday, but I'm really trying to get at least 3-4 film sessions out before we play the Cardinals on Sunday. And of course, I will be live streaming that entire game. But let's go ahead and dive into this video instead of wasting more of y'all time. Let's go ahead and get it, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, per JP Finley, Sam Cosmi said himself that he's good to go for Sunday. Of course, we had an injury scare yesterday that I reported on where he missed practice yesterday, as in Wednesday, due to an Achilles injury. Of course, I was so afraid because not having Samuel Cosmi would be a big blow to this offensive line. Like I talked about in that video yesterday, I'm assuming that maybe Chris Paul would be active and then maybe he starts at right guard for you, but he hasn't been active yet this season in any of these 3 games so far through these first 3 weeks. So maybe it wouldn't actually be him. Even though I look at Michael Dieter as more of like a backup center, maybe they see him as more so just a backup the entire offensive line type of guy, so he can step in at left guard, center, or right guard if there's an injury. Again, Chris Paul's been inactive this whole time, so it's not even like he's up to game speed. I'm assuming it would actually be Michael Dieter that gets the start, and then Chris Paul would just be his backup and active for the first time this season. But either way, point is, thank goodness we don't have to worry about that anymore. Samuel Cosmi even says that he's good to go. And here's a clip of him provided by JP Finley himself, showing Samuel Cosmi, working on himself, warming up with the Achilles injury that he's dealing with. And then even Ben Stan confirmed it himself. He released the injury report and said, expect Samuel Cosmi on the field Sunday. Even though so far he didn't participate in practice at all yesterday, and then he was limited today. He will more than likely be limited tomorrow, as in Friday as well. If he's full, that would be perfect, but I just doubt it. But they're making it seem like it's great news. He should be good to go. Don't worry about it anymore type of thing. I do want to point out the fact that the reason that we really need Samuel Cosmi, and this is just from week 3 alone, but according to Pro Football Focus, Nick Allegretti was an 87.8 overall grade, 3rd best out of all pass blocking guards in the entire NFL in week 3, not up to week 3 this entire season, just week 3 specifically. Nick Allegretti was graded the 3rd best pass blocking guard in the entire NFL, but Samuel Cosmi was 12th, which was not bad at all. 82.1 overall passing grade in week 3. 2 top 12 guards is ridiculous. That's why Jaden Daniels had so much time to do what he needed to do and make those throws that he made. We need to keep that up. We need to keep that chemistry going, and I'm loving the fact that Samuel Cosmi, he hasn't necessarily played, in my opinion, like an all-pro guard that I truly believe he can so far, but the fact that Nick Allegretti on the other side is balling out means the world. And so having Samuel Cosmi gone would hurt us. That would be a top 12 pass blocking guard that you're losing if he were not able to play. Sounds like he should be good to go. But also, now that we're talking about it, Nick Allegretti being the third highest graded pass blocking guard in week 3 out of the entire NFL is really interesting, because we got to start to really think about this free agency class that we brought in. I mean, Austin Eckler and Bobby Wagner hasn't been as great as I'd hoped, but he's made some plays. Frankie Louvu, one of our main leaders along with Bobby Wagner, been making plays. You have Zach Ertz has been huge for Jaden Daniels. Tyler Biadasz has been huge for this entire offensive line. I mean, in the run game that we have going on, plus Jaden Daniels, making his transition from college to the NFL so much easier, because just in case if Jaden Daniels were not ready, even though he is, though, he's good to go. You don't have to worry about him. This is a very veteran, nuanced quarterback already. It's only 3 weeks into his NFL career. But just in case if he wasn't, Tyler Biadasz could have handled changing the protections at the line of scrimmage, IDing potential blitzes, things like that. He's like the backup, like the extra opinion for Jaden Daniels when they're scanning what defenses are trying to do and what they're showing them pre-snap and things like that. But even just beyond that, he's been a pretty good pass protector for Jaden Daniels, and he's been a road grazer in the run game for Brian Robinson, who loves to run in that A-gap. And whether you run to the A-gap on the left side, the strong side, or the weak side, either way, Tyler Biadasz has something to deal with that. He's been doing a good job. And then you can't forget Noah Brown, the latest free agency signing. Or how about our kicker, Austin Cyborg? That's another free agency signing. I think Adam Peters cooked, man. This is a great setup. Now, of course, it would be nice if we can invest a little bit more into some better corners and some better edge rushers, but so far from what I'm seeing, it's looking pretty good. And again, the main reasons I brought this up, because Nick Allegretti is out here hooping as well. This free agency class is pretty tough, man. Now, moving on, cornerback Emmanuel Forbes is again a full participant in practice today, so it looks like he's more than likely going to return against the Cardinals. Played a little bit week 1 against the Buccaneers, got hurt, didn't play against the Giants, didn't play against the Bengals, and now he's good to go. Apparently, it looks like he's slated to return against the Cardinals, and I mean, of course, not. I'm assuming that most of the Commanders fan base is not just overly excited, like, oh man, we got Emmanuel Forbes. This is a game changer. This game is in the bag type of thing. Like, it's up, man. Like, we good. We got Emmanuel Forbes. That's a dub. Of course, nobody's feeling that way, but we've seen from Michael Davis on the field that the grass is not always greener. And I like what I've seen from Mike Sanverstill. He's growing as a corner. He started at outside corner for the first time all season, and technically his short NFL career, last week against the Bengals, because Noah Benogany took over his slot. You could tell they're just trying things with the defensive staff. Joe Wood Jr., Dan Quinn, a lot of those guys are just literally experimenting, seeing what works. Something doesn't work, they're going to try something else. They even had Deron Payne at edge rusher like 8 snaps against the Bengals. They're literally trying anything. So when people are complaining about the defense not doing well, it's you more so got to look at the talent that we currently have. It's only been one off season. The defense can't become much better just like how the offense did in one off season, man. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say we got lucky on the offensive side of the ball, but we just can't expect that defense to be immediately good within just one off season like the offense was able to do. Shouts out to Kliff Kingsbury and the talent that we have on the offensive side of the ball. But again, my main thing is, it's not from a lack of trying, is my main point from Joe Wood Jr. side of things. Yeah, and this is a completely different tangent away from the whole Emmanuel Forbes thing. But my point is, the defensive staff is trying. We just do not have the guys yet. And my point is, I mean, week 2 against the Giants, Noah Benogany started at outside corner in place of Emmanuel Forbes. Mike Sanverstill was your slot corner, even though he did play some outside corner as well. Mike Sanverstill kind of gets snaps everywhere. He gets snaps to safety, all kinds of places. But then the Bengals game, they flipped that. Noah Benogany was inside. Mike Sanverstill was outside. I'm curious to see what they do when Emmanuel Forbes returns, because again, it looks like he will against the Cardinals. Will he be primarily outside? With that move Mike Sanverstill back inside, or would he split snaps with Noah Benogany, or would Noah Benogany split snaps with Emmanuel Forbes like he did week 1 in the Buccaneers game? There's going to be a lot of mixed match in there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's basically yes to both questions. Mike Sanverstill plays some outside, plays some inside. Noah Benogany plays some inside, some outside. Emmanuel Forbes, pretty much pigeonholed to the outside, but he'll sub out, and sometimes Mike Sanverstill and Noah Benogany will play outside in place of him when he subs out, especially with him slowly returning. Because even at practice today, he was wearing some sort of like padded glove or tape underneath his glove to protect the thumb that underwent surgery a couple of weeks ago. So it's not like he's just 100%, but it's pretty much like he's to the point where he can play and should be good to go. My fault. And then also another update. injury-wise. Commanders wide receiver Jamison Crowder, who was added to the injury report late yesterday, because at first they said rest with the initial picture that they showed where it's like, Wednesday, and they show the Commanders and the Bengals injuries. Jamison Crowder had rest to him, but then later on they updated us and said actually it's a calf injury. And today at practice he was out there. He wasn't even able to do individual stuff, let alone team stuff, at least while the media was there to view it. But I'm assuming that's probably what went down for the remainder of practice. This is a guy that's just not practicing. He's on the sideline wearing a sleeve on his right calf and everything. So I'm not expecting Jamison Crowder to be available for this upcoming Cardinals game. That's not game breaking, but just to let you know, that is a player that may not be available. Benjamin St-Juste was wearing a yellow jersey today, though, signifying that he's a limited contact type of guy. He's dealing with a chest issue right now, but I'm expecting him to play because he's been banged up all season. I think he's been on every single injury report so far, at least since going into the Giants game, and he's played every time and has played like 100%, nearly 100% of defensive snaps every time. I'm not necessarily worried about it. And then Quan Martin, he went from limited to full today, so that's great news. He should be able to play. Jazon Newton is still on the injury report for whatever reason, because now he's full the entire week, so he's fully healthy to go. Let's get it. I'm expecting him to play even. I think he played 12 snaps against the Giants, 21 against the Bengals, and I think he'll play even more than that going up against the Cardinals, and we need him. I just did the film session last night, channel members only. Those are the only people that have access to it, and we broke down how he's already arguably our best and most explosive and most disruptive defensive lineman. That's including Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. So the more he plays, the better we'll be. And you saw it, even in that film session, you see him get better and better throughout the game. But speaking of getting better, wait till we add a couple of guys that have been hurt since before the season even started and see how that helps improve our situation on the defensive side of the ball. Because Efe Obada and Jordan Magee seem to be getting them healthy right now. Now, granted, both players still remain on the PUP list, so they haven't taken them off yet. So I'm not saying that they will play against the Cardinals, but we can say that they may play soon, and that will be huge. JP Finley updated and said, with Washington kind of searching defensively, I couldn't help but notice Dan Quinn over and watch Efe Obada and Jordan Magee go through workouts. Both players look good. Quinn gave some intense claps when Magee got done with a session, so it sounds like these guys are getting back healthy. They may not be healthy enough to play against the Cardinals, again I repeat, but it sounds like they'll be back sooner rather than later, and man, that's going to be big time. Efe Obada is a guy that can play both interior defensive lineman and edge rusher. He's like a Swiss Army knife there, and he provides you some pass rush upside with some elite athletic traits. So if we want to get to the quarterback better, Efe Obada can help with that. It's not like we're getting Micah Parsons back or anything like that. I'm not trying to act like that, but he will be a huge help there. And then also Jordan Magee, he was supposed to be our third linebacker. It's supposed to be Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, and then Jordan Magee. But with Dominique Hampton pretty much not being ready because he's transitioning basically from free safety in college to now off-ball linebacker. Of course, he wouldn't be ready immediately to contribute at linebacker for us in actual NFL games on Sundays, let alone a Monday night game in hostile territory, the Cincinnati Bengals, desperate team, all of that type of stuff. So, of course, he's not playing. And then we have other guys that are technically linebackers on this roster, but Jordan Magee was supposed to be right there behind those two. And as you see from the snap counts in these games that we've played so far, you can tell that they don't really trust anybody else to play linebacker outside of Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner right now. But that's until Jordan Magee gets back healthy, because from what we were hearing and seeing in training camp, even Frankie Louvu said it himself, Jordan Magee is way ahead of schedule of a typical rookie, especially a 5th round rookie. And I also want to point out the fact that, like, Frankie Louvu, great blitzer, great against the run. Bobby Wagner, extremely smart, instinctual, and great against the run. Jordan Magee could come in as soon as he's healthy and be our best coverage linebacker between the three immediately, and that's what's been killing us right now. I love Bobby Wagner, I love Frankie Louvu and what they've done for this team so far, but they have not been great in coverage. Jordan Magee could come in and be great in coverage and also help contribute against the run. That's going to be big time for us when he returns. Efe Obada returning excites me, but really the big one is Jordan Magee coming back as your third linebacker, because right now we're pretty much going into games with 2 linebackers. Like Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner either don't leave the field field, or even if they do, the other linebackers getting like less than 5 snaps from what I've seen so far. I mean, now granted, Jamin Davis even though he played a lot of edge rusher against the Bengals, he also played some off-ball linebacker at times a little bit, but right now they're searching for answers at off-ball linebacker, and I think when Jordan Magee comes back healthy, he will be the answer that they've been looking for. Even with Frankie Louvo and Bobby Wagner healthy, Jordan Magee is going to help our linebacker group immensely, at the very least coverage-wise. That's going to be big time for us because the flats were wide open yesterday. Everything underneath was open against the Bengals, not yesterday, but Monday night, and I can't wait for Jordan Magee to show what he can do because I've been a big Jordan Magee fan since we drafted him. I have been buying Jordan Magee stock the whole way. I was sick when he got hurt, and I'm really excited to see him come back. Now, if you look on the screen right now, injury report wise for the Cardinals, tight end Trey McBride still has not practiced due to a concussion. So we have Austin Eckler out due to a concussion. We already know he's not playing. It looks like their tight end Trey McBride may be in a similar situation. Then their defensive lineman Tonga did not participate in practice so far this week with a knee injury. Then you have offensive lineman Kelvin Beachum. He seems to be making a return. Marvin Harrison was also limited as well. Both of those guys limited. Then safety Budda Baker, linebacker Dennis Gardick, and defensive lineman Dante Stills were all full participants on Thursday, even though they were all limited on Wednesday. They should be good to go. So we're definitely a little bit more banged up than the Cardinals, I would say, but that's still no excuse. And before we get to the rest of this video, hey, what's up with y'all, man? Have y'all heard of NFL All Day yet? If not, that's crazy. Because first of all, this is a fine way to collect some of the greatest highlights in NFL history. With NFL All Day, you're not just watching highlights, you're owning them. Grab officially licensed NFL moments and make them a part of your collection. And now they even have the top rookies from this 2024 draft class included as well. You can buy a pack with moments from them, like a touchdown play or a game-changing interception or a fumble, anything, the memorable moments that stick with you type of things. And each and every one of them is unique as well. It's just like owning a piece of the NFL that is completely yours to keep or do whatever you want to do with it. We'll get to that. These aren't just highlights, they are real deal type of stuff, officially licensed straight from the NFL, directly from them. Plus, with the new rookie class added, you can pull moments from one of the league's rising stars, say like Jaden Daniels, right from the start. And what's really fire about the whole situation is that you can hold on to them as a collection, or you can even trade or sell them with other collectors like you. And it's a 24/7 marketplace where you can make moves anytime that you want. There's so many ways you can go about it. Have fun whatever way you see fit. And there are always new challenges and events where you can earn even more moments from NFL All Day. It really makes you feel like you're a part of the NFL community. You're in the inside of the inside. You're where everybody's at. And in one of my vintage packs that I got, I was able to pull the Washington legend linebacker London Fletcher himself and the clutch moments he had in that 28-18 victory over the Dallas Cowboys, that final game of the 2012 season, that RG3 rookie season, which is honestly like the last time it feels like we've completely filled up a home game with our fans. I have that moment that I got out of the pack. He had a couple of sacks and all kinds of great plays in that game. And then in my most recent packs, I was able to pull Jonathan Allen's 2023 sack against the Arizona Cardinals. That was a big time moment. And I was also able to pull Terry McLaurin's super contested catch against the Eagles in 2023 last season as well. Man, it's very easy and it's very fun. I'm trying to tell you, now is the perfect time to jump in and join in on the fun. Grab a pack and see what you pull, man. Don't miss out. Come pull up to NFL All Day right now and let's get it. And so now that we have the injury part of this video out the way, we have a lot more stuff to talk about as well. First of all, I thought it was interesting that JP Finley pointed out the fact that Tressway is still, in fact, practicing punts, basically insinuating the fact that we don't even really need him with the way that this offense is performing, but hey, he's practicing just in case anyway. I thought that was funny. But also, they are in the Arizona State bubble because the weather is so hot that they're having to practice inside the Arizona State bubble to get ready for this game. They went ahead, I mean, it makes sense too, just to let you know, I talked about this in another video, but for those of y'all who may not have seen that video and I talked about it, they went straight from Cincinnati to Arizona. They felt like it was no point to go all the way back to Virginia just to fly back to Arizona Arizona just a couple of days later. They literally went from Bengals Monday night to Arizona and have been there the entire week. So they have been practicing at Arizona State, but every practice so far has been inside the bubble because it's been so hot. But their bubble is a little lower than the one we have in Ashburn, Virginia. So Tressway hit the ceiling on 4 straight kicks. So I don't exactly know how much practice he's getting done, but I thought that was pretty interesting to also let you know. And of course, moving on to Jaden Daniels wise, of course, this is pretty cool for Jaden Daniels. Of course, Kliff Kingsbury, making a return to Arizona, and Kyler Murray and all of that relationship there. Zach Ertz is even making a return going against the Cardinals. But Jaden Daniels specifically used to practice in this exact practice bubble because he used to go to Arizona State for a couple of years before he transferred to LSU. So this is very nostalgic for Jaden Daniels. He knows the facilities in and out like the back of his hands better than probably any staff member, coach, player that we have in Arizona right now. I just thought that was something pretty interesting to point out. But man, in his practice drills, he's been hitting nothing but net. You're going to see the first clip is from yesterday, and then the next clip is from today's practice. This guy's hitting nothing but net. Shouts out to Chick Hernandez for the first clip, and then John Kahn for the last clip that came from today. This guy kills these drills. He is ridiculously accurate. We saw this all training camp, but it's still nice to see it even during the season, even after a performance that he had against the Bengals. And this is why he was that great against the Bengals, is doing the little things right like this in practice. Now, moving on, Kliff Kingsbury got a chance to speak to the media. He said that Brandon Coleman is getting more and more comfortable, like the way that he fought going against a tough pass rush against the Bengals, most notably Trey Hendrickson. He got beat one snap, but I would say that he arguably won every other snap, at least most of the snaps, against Trey Hendrickson, who entering this game was #1 in like 3 pass rushing edge rusher advanced statistics that I gave y'all last week at some point. And he was like #2 in like 1 or 2 other stats. Like he's been playing like a top 5 edge rusher all season, and now I'm pretty sure he's plummeted down those rankings because of what Brandon Coleman did to him. But I also want to point out the fact that Cornelius Lucas has played more snaps than Brandon Coleman so far all season. But against the Bengals, that gap has been closing in a little bit. Every game has been closing and closing. I think Cornelius Lucas only played 1 more snap than Brandon Coleman against the Bengals. This Cardinals game may be the first time that Brandon Coleman plays more snaps than Cornelius Lucas. It may even be the first time that he's out there as a starter, the first offensive drive of the game. I can't wait to see if that's how it ends up going. I'm really rooting for him. Most notable, just for anything, like to get a franchise quarterback and a franchise left tackle in one singular draft is an A+ draft. I don't care what any of the other draft picks end up being. I care as a fan, but like grading wise, you have to give them an A+, even if no other draft pick pans out. You get the 2 of the 3 most important positions. You can throw edge rusher up there probably at #2 or #3, whichever one, but you get 2 of the most important positions in all of football in the same draft. You hit home runs on those, especially with the left tackle when being a 3rd rounder. That's an A+ draft. I don't care what's going on. So Brandon Coleman being great and being good sooner than I expected. I was worried going into that Trey Hendrickson game, man. Again, he's been an elite edge rusher this year. Brandon Coleman more than held his own. So I'm really excited about his future because he's only going to get better and better. So I'm really excited about that. Also, Kliff Kingsbury talked about the 27-yard touchdown pass from Daniels to McLaurin on Monday that sealed the game, that legendary pass that everybody's been replaying and talk about. He said that it was more so about the players, not the plays. That's all that was, because he said that he messed up the play call. It was trying to flip the formation, but they ended up making it work. And that's why you saw like Luke McCaffrey, everybody's so confused. And I guess it just got to a point where Jaden Daniels was like, man, just chill out. I got this. I'm going to hit Terry McLaurin. I already know that pre-snap. We're going to make this work. And then they absolutely made it work. So shouts out to Kliff Kingsbury for being honest about that. And shouts out to us for having the players to do that. First of all, the trust, because did we have a timeout? Because that's crazy if we had like a timeout left. At best, I know at most we could have had 1 timeout, because I remember us calling out 2 early timeouts in the second half when I was mad because I was like, dang, we're not going to have any timeouts if we need them later. We may have had a timeout there. And if we did, that trust in Kliff Kingsbury Kingsbury for them to just figure it out with the game on the line like that. But maybe we didn't have a timeout at that point. But either way, the fact that it was just like, man, hey, do what y'all got to do, and they figured it out. And I think we need to give Jaden Daniels the majority of the credit for that, but also Jeremy McNichols for that excellent blitz pickup right up the middle. Literally just WWE wrestled a linebacker, a blitzing linebacker, a DB to the ground. Offensive line gave him the time, and Terry McLaurin just being Terry McLaurin, an elite contested catch receiver. Kingsbury also said, talking about Austin Eckler, that you don't replace a guy like that. You just have to get creative and find ways of getting production from the other players. And like I pointed out in one of my videos yesterday, that he did an excellent job of doing that without expecting Austin Eckler to be gone last game. Austin Eckler gets hurt mid-game, and now Kliff Kingsbury has to pivot from that and get other guys involved without knowing prior to that game happening that would happen. He's had 6 days to prepare for this game, knowing that Austin Eckler will not be there. So I feel like if he was that good at still getting that offense, explosive plays, still being efficient, converting third downs, fourth downs, keeping things on schedule, if he was able to do that without knowing Austin Eckler was going to be out, imagine what he's going to do against the Cardinals, knowing that Austin Eckler is already out of the game plan. I think he's going to drop another masterpiece, but we'll see. Kliff Kingsbury also said that Brian Robinson might have a larger role with Austin Eckler out, but he said he also doesn't want to wear Brian Robinson down either, and I agree with that. I mean, remember, Luke McCaffrey was getting snaps out of the backfield in the training camp at one point, personally, from Anthony Lynn himself. Maybe we'll start to see some like Deebo Samuel, Curtis Samuel like roles now that he's developing and starting to really, blossom as a receiver. And then, Jeremy McNichols, who stepped in, is going to step up to be like the second running back. But Michael Wiley, who had a great offseason, I was actually a little surprised that they kept Jeremy McNichols over him, even though Jeremy McNichols was the veteran. So I see it, I see the logic. But Michael Wiley, I would say, had the even better offseason than Jeremy McNichols. And so now he's going to step up. He may play even some as well, but everybody's just gonna have to step up. Brian Robinson's gonna get a couple of more carries. Jeremy McNichols will not just directly take over the snaps and carries and receptions and targets that Austin Eckler would have gotten, but he'll split them up a little bit with Brian Robinson, split a lot of them up with Michael Wiley probably. The Austin Eckler effect is gonna get spread onto the backs, and the responsibilities are gonna get spread onto the backs of a few people. It's not just gonna be one direct replacement to come in and step in for him, and I'm cool with that. Also, John Com asked Kliff Kingsbury about Jaden not throwing an interception this season, and Kingsbury said, "Oh man, don't do that to me." Like, that was the exact quote, and he laughed and said, "I'm just kidding," but I thought that was funny. He was like, "Man, don't jinx it, bruh. Like, why'd you even have to ask that?" I thought that was pretty funny. Now, moving on to Joe Witt Jr. before we get up out of here. Joe Witt Jr. had a chance to address the media as well. He said the defense is closer than people think, but it's still not up to their standard. That falls on him. He added, so he's taking the blame for that. I respect that. Now, him saying that the defense is closer than we think, hopefully there's something up their sleeve that I haven't seen yet, but we'll see. Maybe it's the return of Emmanuel Forbes. Maybe it's the return of FL Botto or Jordan Magee. Maybe all three. Who knows? But maybe there's something they've improved in communication or something that he feels like we're getting there. I don't know. It didn't necessarily feel like it against the Bengals, but we'll see. And then Joe Witt Jr. also talked about Derek Forrest. He was asked directly about him. He said, "I'm not down on Forrest. I'm actually really high on Forrest. Just need to find ways to get him on the field." That sounded like him just really being nice. Like, yeah, he's really not playable compared to the other guys we have on the roster. And, he's doing his part. It's on me. I think he's just taking up for him and stepping in front of the bullets for him and things like that. That's what I took from it, but we'll see. Joe Witt Jr. also said that he wants to send Jeremy Chin on more blitzes. I'm really intrigued by that. He's a freak athlete. I'm interested in seeing how that works out, but we got to be able to cover better with our corners to be able to do that, because right now we need Jeremy Chin back there just in case one of our corners gets beat deep. Also, Joe Witt Jr. said that the cornerback position is still fluid in terms of finding the right players to fit certain spots. We just talked about that earlier with Emmanuel Forbes, Mike Sanford, Noah Benogany. It's going to be interesting to see in this upcoming game against the Cardinals how they mix and match these guys, who's outside, who's slot, when and where, because there's going to be times that either of those guys, excluding Emmanuel Forbes, may play both in the same game. Curious to see how they experiment with that, like they've already been experimenting all season so far with different coverages. I mean, aggressive man. Remember that Mike Sanford touchdown that he gave up in that Giants game to, I believe it was Wan'Dale Robinson. That was like a cover zero, man up on all of the receivers, and then everybody else blitzed. I think we sent like 8. And then you see against the Bengals that sometimes we have Mike Sanders still one-on-one with Jamar Chase with no safety over the top to help him. And then other times we're playing extremely soft coverage where the flats and everything underneath are just wide open. We're just playing zone, keeping everything else in front of us so that we don't get beat deep. I mean, they've tried everything, man. I feel like they've gone through the entire playbook on Madden defensively, and they're just trying to see what works. And again, like I talked about earlier, Deron Payne played edge rusher like 8 snaps against the Bengals. They're literally trying anything that they can, so I'm not mad at them. It hasn't necessarily worked out very well yet, but at least you can't say that they're not trying. Also, lastly, Joe Wood Jr. said that the Commanders want to tweak some calls and techniques in certain spots so that the D-line isn't going upfield as much against the run. Says that he's not going to call out players specifically, though, and I respect that, coach, but basically he's saying, you know how we used to complain about Sam Mills where the defensive linemen, all they did was take up space, but they were not allowed to run free and make their own plays? Then we were happy when Sam Mills III got fired because we made this transition to now where the defensive linemen are asked to penetrate and get upfield. But right now, I feel like basically Joe Wood Jr. is saying we need to get like a balance because the Sam Mills III way wasn't working either because we weren't getting any pressure on the quarterbacks. But then now this way of going from one far end all the way to the other far end of doing the exact opposite, now we can't stop the run because we're running past the running back and giving them wide open lanes and putting so much pressure on our linebackers to make plays. So basically he's saying what it seems like we need to find a balance to where if we think it's run, maybe you do need to do what the Georgia and Alabama defensive linemen do, where you kind of just eat space. I know we want these guys, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Johnny Newton, to get these stats, but sometimes we just need them to eat up space so that the running back has no lanes to go through, and then the defense just rallies around them and bring them down behind the line of scrimmage instead of our defensive linemen shooting right up to the quarterback, and then the running back just breezes on right by them for an 8-yard gain. We got to find that balance, and I'm glad that Joe Wood Jr. is acknowledging the fact that that is not the right answer. It's not the perfect answer. Now, of course, Sam Mills III was not the answer either. I'm really happy we got away from that, but also we went too far the other way. We need to meet somewhere in the middle, basically. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, man. I really appreciate y'all. Make sure I stay tuned for all of the content, man. Make sure you do not leave this video without letting me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video, with Samuel Cosmi and Nick Allegretti on arguably being the best guard duo in week 3. How do you feel about Emmanuel Forbes returning? How do you feel about what would happen if we didn't have Samuel Cosmi against the Cardinals? Do you think that drastically decreases our chances of winning? How do you feel about FL Bada and Jordan Magee possibly coming back? How do you feel about Derek Forrest not being used right now? How do you feel about Kliff Kingsbury's comments about everything and Brandon Coleman growing as a tackle right now? Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Again, do not leave this video without leaving a like. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.